Orthodox medicine has been tested and proven, but it can also be expensive sometimes. Today, we're looking at a few home remedies that you can make using items from your backyard and your kitchen. I have with me Madame Ajele, who is going to be educating us on just the few things to put together in case you have a cold, cough, or boil. Mini kamini work about feature fang mene.
Fang mene no wa to fang toto ba. Ke wo. Ke for back. Mene no wa feature fang. Tole mini. Atole rose. Mene to fang tenen wo ba fe ni mene.
So we have with us what the items you're going to use are honey. This is honey, and then we have this, which is locally called the Toto Bar. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the name is in English. And then we also have this plant, which comes from the rose plant. It's generally called the rose plant. And then we're also going to need a bit of salt. So these are just the 4 items that we're going to be using as our remedies for cold, coughs, and then also boils. So, ofane okay. Telonji work about Jenshi Biane.
Sunday no first bad Jenshi. Ene toto bani. I can see Sunday.
We're going to start with the remedy for boils, and just as she just explained, we're going to use this leaf, which is called the toto bar. To what you're going to do is you grind it all together. You grind it, and then you add a bit of salt, and with the you grind it to actually a pulp, and you add some salt, and then you put the mixture on your boil. So we'll quickly go ahead and demonstrate that to you right now. So if you have a grinding stone, you can just grind the leaf just as she's doing now. If you also do not have a grinding stone, then she's explaining that you can actually use just any cement slab, any smooth surface that is made with cement. You can just grind your leaf on there to make sure that it is very, very smooth. Okay, so we are adding the salt now. Okay. So no oyusu ayudated salt.
Adang when I was a glofono. Glofono to find me. No, any tuning. Adang were to find me. We're by tuning fine. You can hear bad.
So what she's saying now is that it's best that you use the locally produced salt, not iodinated salt. It's not advisable to use iodinated salt. It's just best that you use the local one, the very rough one, which we normally call the adango, or the salt from Adan. The reason being that the iodinated salt has some chemicals in it.
Okay, so with me in the studio this morning, I have Dr. Bright Reduce. He is going to be here with us this morning, giving us some advice about these home remedies that are taking place at the moment. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. First off, what is your personal and professional take on home remedies?
Well, home remedies, there are some home remedies that actually do work. But from my background and my training professionally, we doctors, orthodox doctors, do use evidence-based medicine, which means that whatever that we are doing, there must have been evidence to show that it actually works.
Right.
So we're in the era of evidence-based medicine, and we don't entertain opinions and hearsays and folk teachings. Mm-hmm. So really, whatever that we're doing these days in medical practice, it's got to be evidence-based. If there's evidence that shows that it actually works, mm-hmm. how it works, we know the side effects. That's what we do. And it's interesting watching the video that was shown, and the reporter said that orthodox medicine has been proven to work, and I like that about it. But there are some home remedies that doctors do entertain, as long as it does not interfere with the treatment that we're giving to patients.
Okay.
But in our part of the world, sometimes the home remedies that people apply are quite disturbing. And for example, in this case, the video we saw, talking about a boil. What may look like a boil to an ordinary person may not be a boil. In fact, you can have a cancer that comes on the neck that looks like a boil, or it can come into the armpit like a boil. You may want to, people cut in and grind substances, and the way it was done was not sterile. Not to bash traditional people and their remedies, but if you apply something that was prepared in unsterile conditions, you'd infect it. Sometimes people apply herbs to cancer nodes, lymph nodes in the body that have come up because it's a cancer for months. Cancer gets more aggressive as time goes on. So they're reporting very late. So sometimes you need a professional eye to have a look at what you think it is, and then we will give you the right way. But some people too have got ulcers, diabetic foots, and they apply herbs. I know mothers who apply cow dung and soil to the baby's umbilical cord, when there's a problem, and they infect them with tetanus. So the home remedies that people practice in outside of the world are quite dangerous.
Okay.
Usually.
Now let's concentrate on what the lady was doing in the video. First, could you identify the particular leaves or that she was using?
No.
Okay. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the English name for it. But in that particular setting, obviously, you said that it wasn't necessarily sterile conditions for her to be preparing that sort of medication. You've mentioned some of the side effects. That's obviously due to misdiagnosis. But in general, I mean, when it comes to home remedies, how severe can the side effects be?
Well, home remedies are supposed to be very mild things that you do to usually make yourself comfortable. For example, if you have a flu, well, you don't really need to go to the doctor to have antibiotics prescribed for you. So you can have a lot of water, taking antioxidants, vitamin C, keep yourself warm. That's like home remedy. Right. Some people have got sore throats, they don't take vitamin C. Some people take ginger. Some people take honey, warm tea, those things. Right. So basically, you can have that kind of home remedy. Maybe you have pimples or carbuncles or boils on your face. You're not supposed to break them. You can apply warm compress. And a few things that even very credible medical institutions talk about. But unfortunately, outside of the world, the home remedies people apply, people venture into therapeutic areas, areas where doctors should be handling.
Such as?
Like, for example, people try to fix broken bones or dislocated joints at home, apply herbs. People actually cut, when there's a boil, or some people actually want to cut into it and put something inside, and they add more infections. And there are some other remedies, that people apply that I think are not too, like having warm soup for flu. These are things that doctors everywhere would advise. It's okay. But when people try to do very invasive procedures, like people trying to cut into the body to do something, cutting to apply things inside, that's quite dangerous. And most of the time, in my short experience, it usually ends in the negative for people who try those things. Okay. And the herbs, the herbal stuff work. The ones that we know, but I couldn't identify any of the herbs that she showed there. And then for what was done, it's okay, it's educative, but someone may look for a plant that looks similar to that one. Right. That may be toxic or have things that and should be consumed and may actually take it. So that's the one we have to look out for. And there are a lot of people who are doing so many things for money. The motivation for money drive people. So people put all sort of things together.
Now that's what I was actually going to come on to, because in the intro of the segment, it was mentioned that due to finances, some people seek alternative remedies to the issues that they have. Now, when we're talking about coughs, colds, and boils, in your professional experience, is that expensive to deal with, or even to get diagnosed for?
No, it's not. If you have a boil, it depends. Sometimes, for example, if you get recurrent boils and you are, say, a bit overweight, you are in your 30s, 40s, it could be that you have diabetes that's undiagnosed. Right. So sometimes what appears is just the tip of the iceberg. Somebody needs to have a look at you. A professional needs to. And these days, the nephrologists are reporting a lot of kidney injury because so many of us are taking a lot of concoctions. Right. And most of these are toxic. Like there's no information. We don't know how much of the products inside. We don't know the chemicals. Some of the concoctions are run in labs and you have 100 different chemicals. You don't know the dose. So these things are damaging people. So in going for home remedies, doctors actually do offer home remedy. For example, steam inhalation. I actually did. I have a cold. I did steam inhalation this morning.
Okay.
So we actually do these things because we give you the counseling. We give you where we need to give you pharmaceuticals. We do that. Where we need to give you nutraceuticals like vitamins. We do that. Where we need to deworm. Where we need to say do this, do that. We do that. So doctors will offer it as part of the treatment. This is a holistic approach.
Right.
So people shouldn't see it as though home remedies are not things that doctors entertain.
Right.
Then it may be cheap to go using that route, but it could be very expensive in the end. Because 2 weeks ago, I received news that one of my friends from my senior high school died from severe malaria.
Right.
At the time he arrived, it was very late because he stayed at home doing home remedy for a while.
Okay.
It was undiagnosed, it ran really wild, and he was rushed to the hospital semi-conscious, and then he passed out. And that's a huge price to pay.
Yeah.
But figure the cost of consultation fee plus getting your anti-malarials, that's quite cheap compared to what he lost.
Yeah.
So in the end, there should be a fine balance. But I would advise that if you are dealing with children especially, you need to, we don't do these things at home. Quickly see
Take
a
them to
doctor.
the doctor.
And then if you're doing some things at home and in 3 days time you're not seeing results, just like the over-the-counter, drugs say, you need to consult your doctor quickly.
That's one thing that's also what I was going to bring up as well. Dosage and amounts and frequency of application or intake of some of these remedies. Is that also a concern for you?
Yeah, it's a huge concern. One of the things about most of the herbal stuff is that if they've not, first of all, most of them have not been, they've not had trials to show that it actually works. Most of the tests that they perform on these things are tests to show that it's safe.
Right.
And it's not toxic. So sometimes the products have claims that have not been proven.
Okay.
And that's the difference between these products and pharmaceutical products. Before drugs come out, they've been shown to be safe. Dosages, there is post surveillance on the market that runs. FDAs and FDBs are checking out for these things all the time.
Yeah.
So when we can't tell the dose and the frequency, it becomes a bit difficult. People do guesswork, and sometimes you can overdose yourself on these things.
Let's just touch quickly on accountability, because obviously if you were to misdiagnose anybody or medicate somebody and get it wrong, you are somewhat accountable. Am I lying? And the establishment that you work for as well. In this instance, obviously, nobody's accountable. Am I lying? Can you go back to the person who ground the herbs for you and tell you, compensate me for making me ill?
I don't think there's any defined system now to make people, go and hold people responsible. And usually people take it with their own consent, because you go to them and they show you. Sometimes they actually tell you how to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that even sometimes some health workers, I think when we are ill, we are a bit desperate. And we want to try all avenues. And I think that we need to, try the scientifically proven means first. At the end of the day, whatever the doctor is doing, we weigh risk and benefits.
Right.
No doctor would want to give anything that will cause more harm than good. So it's always in the interest. And so we need to have confidence in orthodox medicine. And wherever it is, there are natural things like, garlic, things that actually have some therapeutic effect, that have soothing effect on people. There are lots of home remedies available, and you can find them online. Mayo Clinic is an establishment that has some home remedies for particular things, but you don't do home remedies for dangerous things like have boils in your armpits and boils in the groin.
Right.
Maybe they may not be boils. You want to check exactly what it is. You have an ulcer on your leg. When there's a wound, you don't want to do those things. It needs to be sterile, must be cleaned. You need to have a checkup. Somebody gets a stroke and they are doing home remedy at home. No, that's not done.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for coming in, Doug, and obviously enlightening us a little bit more about home remedies. If you are at home and you do practice home remedies, please take the doctor's advice and note that if it doesn't heal or if it persists longer than 3 days,